Hi, everybody. Okay, so we're going to try to do this the best way that we possibly can. I know this is kind of last minute here, but I've been having some trouble with the old format that I've been using, and so we're going to try something different. We're actually going to do it live on YouTube, and then that way I can post it a little bit later. So you will notice that on one of those bars that you'll be able to chat or ask any questions that you want to. I won't be doing any personal readings this go around, but I will be answering any and all questions, especially related to anything metaphysical or anything like that. So those of you that are joining me, hi. And like I said, this is my first go around on this, so we're gonna check it out and just kind of see how things roll. So if you guys can hear me, type in and let me know. Somebody said hi. So yay, this is actually working. So if you are still watching me from Eventbrite, like I said, you'll have to, I'm going to be logging out of that. And like I said, I would like you to join me. I would like you to be able to join me on YouTube. So I'm going to just give this just a few more. Everybody's saying hi. Everybody can hear me. Yay, people are finding me on YouTube. So this is a lot better format, and the webcam seems to be a little bit more up to date on stuff like this. So I had to hire a new marketing director, and so he suggested this. So I think this is going to work out pretty freaking awesome. So if this is your first time, I just want to welcome you. Hi. This is pretty straightforward, easygoing. You can pretty much ask me questions. I'm just going to shoot from the hip. Again, I won't be doing any personal readings, but any questions that you guys might have, ask away. I like to do these about once a month because people have questions, and I know a lot of people want my individual time. And since it's so limited, this is my one way of helping you guys out in your spirituality and maybe try to figure out some things that might be, some questions that you might have or some issues that may occur that maybe you're not aware of. So again, if you are on Eventbrite, if you are on any meeting, I am going to be shutting this down. And like I said, I want you joining me on YouTube. So, okay, let's go ahead and let's start asking some questions. So go ahead and start asking me any type of questions. And like I said, I'm up for anything. So, okay, so first question Jasmine's asking. So if somebody who has passed who is reincarnated, would a medium be able to reach that person or not since they're within the physical body again? Good question. And I can answer that and say, yes, I can. So just because grandpa chose to reincarnate as grandson, for instance, I can still talk to grandpa. The reason why is you have to kind of think quantum energy here and understand that I'm basically, when I'm reaching out to spirit, I'm talking to their higher self. So I'm talking to that person in this lifetime. But if they choose to, it's no problem. I can still talk to the person who's passed on. And 9 times out of 10, I can even say, well, this person has reincarnated, or they are now a spirit guide to that grandson. And a lot of times you'll notice a lot of similarities and the same mannerisms too. Doesn't necessarily that they've reincarnated, but a lot of times they share the same personality types and different stuff like that. So good question. Jane was asking, are there any new spirits coming into the world, or is it all reincarnations? Good questions. Actually, these rainbow kids coming in have not had any previous lives. So yes, we are getting new children in now that have not had any previous lives, and they are brand spanking new. So yes, we do have those. We still have reincarnations, people still coming in because they haven't learned their lessons, gone through the karmic wheel, all that good stuff, haven't gone through an awakening. So yes, yeah, we are getting some new newbies coming in, and they're quite magical. So it's really kind of cool stuff. Difference between a twin flame and a soulmate. Danielle, good question. Twin flame is pretty rare. You have to have 2 enlightened people that come together for a purpose to serve humanity. Okay, so soulmates can come in forms of best friends, your lover. There's a lot of different ways we can meet a soulmate. And we may even have a few in a lifetime, but twin flames are pretty rare. They're two enlightened people that come together to help serve humanity in some way, shape, or form. So it's a little bit higher than that, but I don't like to compare it like one's better than the other. It's not at all. Thank you for the congratulations. If you guys haven't heard, I'm getting married on Sunday to Eric. And we're actually getting married in Sedona on 11/11 at 11:11 a.m. Right? Got to get married on the 11s. So, so a lot of people are just wanting to tell me thanks. So thank you very much. I'm like really happy and excited. Let's see. Do you think that small children have a connection with loved ones that have passed on? Yes, Gina, absolutely. Especially kids under the age of 5. So almost always kids between the ages of like 2 and 5 especially are really vocal about saying, well, grandpa's just right over there. So it's awesome to be able just to listen to what they have to say. But you got to remember, if they do say something, they're going to say it quick and off the cuff. And if you ask them, what did you just say? They're not going to be able to hear you. All right. They won't be able to like hear it, comprehend it, remember it, and spit it out. It doesn't work that way. It's coming in from the right side of the brain. They're not going to remember it. So it's always good that little kid are like, well, grandma says hi, and listen to stuff like that because they really do. Okay. La, 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 la. It's a good question. These are awesome questions. Okay. What does it mean when a person who has passed comes to you in a dream and is crying? It could mean a lot of different things, actually. What I would tell you is it sounds like that might be kind of a combination dream, which is a visitation dream, which is when a loved one actually shows up in a dream. And if they're doing something that really isn't their normal mannerism, I would tell you to look that up. So Dream Moods, MOODS, dreammoods.com is a wonderful website. So I would look up the meaning behind that and see if that doesn't ring a bell for you. Can my dog or pets have reincarnation of a past child or children? No. Pets are here for pure unconditional love. Humans aren't born that way. So, I mean, we are, but we eventually not get that way. So pets do, however, reincarnate. So the dog that I had growing up in high school, I just recently buried my dog, which is the dog that I've had for 15 years. So that dog is a reincarnation of the one that I had in childhood. So, but yes, they do come around sometimes 3-4 times in a lifetime, no joke. So, and you'll know it because you'll look at that dog and go, that's my dog. And you'll just know it. Or that's my cat. That's my thing. I got to get it. So, but yeah, animals reincarnate as animals, sometimes different breeds, but they do reincarnate. But I haven't come across where like a kid comes in as a horse or like a dog comes in as a child. I haven't run across it. Doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. I just personally haven't run across it yet. So not that I know of. These are good questions. La, 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 la. Do souls transcend or whatever it's called faster if cremated than traditional? Nope, they don't. And 9 times out of 10, they really don't give a shit. They don't care if they're burned or if they're buried or if they're 9 times out of 10, they don't care. Every once in a while, I have that one grandma that'll come across that gets a little pissy with somebody not doing her hair right. But that's kind of a rare bird. It doesn't happen all that often. But no, usually they don't have too much of a fuss. And normally what they do is they don't care that their loved one is grieving over their grave. They don't like to see you grieve. They don't. It really bothers them when you cry over them and cry to the fact that they're gone. They want you to celebrate and have you understand that you're going to see them again. They are totally fine. They're just without a crappy body and a crappy reality. So, but usually they'll come in and say, you don't need to go visit the grave like every day. So, and it depends. Again, everyone's different. Everybody's saying hi. I just want to say hi to everybody. Okay. Gina said her oldest son passed 11 years ago at the age of 17. Don't ever feel or presence. Okay. So here's the deal with this one is he probably sends you signs every single different way other than dreams. And you have to remember, in order for you to have a visitation dream, you got to sleep at least 7 hours a night to be able to get into REM sleep, to be able to check in. So if you're not getting that 7 to 8 hours of sleep, which a lot of people who are going through an awakening aren't, then you're not going to be able to dream. So ask your loved one to give you a sign, and they will. Now, you got to remember, you can't say, click on the light and flick it off. That's hard to do. So, but just ask them, hey, I miss you. I'm having a bad day. I could really go for a sign. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get one within 24 hours. So be vocal, ask. They hear you. They always hear you. So, but the biggest thing is just ask them to just give you a few more messages to comfort. And they will. They always do. Any advice on remembering past lives? Ooh, good one. That's hard. What I have found is you either ask for your spirit guides to maybe take you back in a dream state so you can remember, or you go through maybe like a past life regressional hypnotherapy session. So personally, that's what I chose to do. Personally, the guy that I went to is Tim Teggy. He's at A+ Hypnosis, great guy. So he's really good about stuff like that. So that's what I would suggest. The other one is, like I said, if you go into a really deep meditative state, you could also achieve that. But meditation's hard, let's be real, okay? It's not like easy. So maybe that hopefully answers your question. How do you boost clairvoyance? It depends, Sydney, because there's 5 different psychic abilities, and there's 5 human senses, right? So we can taste, smell, hear, do all that. But there's also 5 psychic abilities too. And maybe clairvoyance isn't your thing. Maybe clairaudient, the ability to hear, maybe the ability to feel, the ability to know, the ability to smell. Maybe that's better for you. And if we try really hard on doing something, and I'll be honest with you, clairvoyance was my least ability. Really, it was my least ability. And my spirit guides came in one time and they said, you know what, why don't you master what you already know? And it honestly pissed me off at first, because I'm like, I want to see, like, I should be able to do that. But once I started honing in on clairaudient and claircognizant and all the other ones, my clairvoyance then got into play, or it got me in a place of allowance to have that happen. So, but understand, if you're starting to go through that spiritual awakening and you get those stupid headaches, especially right here, then that third eye chakra is trying to open, and it just takes a little bit of time. But like I said, everybody has their own unique ability. Thanks, guys. Everybody has their own unique ability. So maybe that's not yours, but I'm not saying that it won't ever pop on. It will. Give it time. Be patient. Everything has to happen in the right moment. All right. So sorry, my kids just got home, so they brought me food, which is totally awesome. Okay. So let's see here. When I'm driving by myself, sometimes there's someone riding in my passenger seat and the light comes on. Can you tell me what that is? Usually that's going to be a loved one or a spirit guide, 9 times out of 10. So almost always it's going to be one of those two. And the biggest thing I can tell you is check to see or like feel. Like if it feels somebody like familiar to you and you can't quite place your finger on it, then most than likely that's going to be a spirit guide. All right. And Sydney was saying headaches every day. Yep. So that means to tell me your third eye chakra is, it's opening, but it's not quite staying open. And that means to tell me it's simply not time. That's okay. Oh, these are great questions. Do some souls who have passed meld with God universe so they no longer remember their past life? It's good question, Jaden. It's not so much about them remembering their past life. It just means to tell me that they don't have to come back to this crappy earth again because their karmic debt has been paid, which, by the way, personally, and this is what I think, again, there's no like dictionary to any of the spirituality stuff. But I think that when you begin to go through a spiritual awakening, debt is then paid in full. So I don't think, though, that when you start to go through that spiritual awakening stuff, I don't think you're going to reincarnate again. Nobody wants to come back to this crap, right? So that's the biggest thing I can tell you. All righty. All righty. Hang on a second. I'm typing this in because somebody is still trying to get a hold of me on any meeting, and I'm trying to explain to them that they got to join me here. So like I said, sorry, I'm having to go between both, but until this kind of gets smoothed out a little bit more, we'll figure it all out. Okay, Zach, do I believe in gay marriage? Absolutely. Why it's not, why people still have an issue with it, beyond me. I don't understand that at all. So I am the least judgmental person out there. And you know what, if you want to get married, I don't care if they're black, white, gay, straight, or purple. It doesn't matter. If that person makes you happy, who am I or anybody else to judge that? So we saw that we choose our lives before birth. Where does this idea come from? It's not necessarily written anywhere, as this has been the general consensus, honestly, through mystics, through mediums and people like me. That's what I've learned as well. So, I just know that when you come into this world, on average, you're going to pick one parent you get along with, one parent you don't get along with, and a sibling that's going to be opposite of you. That's to teach you about yourself better. We need polarity here on earth because it doesn't exist in heaven. We need negativity here on earth because it doesn't exist in heaven. You chose to come here to learn. It's difficult to learn when everything's perfect. That's why you chose to be here. So your job at this point is try to figure out why the hell you picked what you did, and figure out what it's teaching you, and forgive all the rest. Not easy to do. Oh, but ultimately that's the goal. Okay, let's see. Why do I see 1111? Only enlightened people see 1111. That means to tell me that you are currently and now actively going through a spiritual awakening. Basically put, there's 5 phases to a spiritual awakening. Phase 1 is something needs to act as a catalyst for this to begin. A lot of times it's maybe birth or death or divorce, or something's got to rattle your cage. Falling in love could be a lot of different things. And then we go to a stage 2 where your ears are ringing, food doesn't sit well in your tummy anymore, you're dreaming all crazy, you're sleeping 4 hours a night if you're lucky, negative people really starting to irritate you, and you have a weird urge to like completely purge your house. Then we start to see 1111. That then signifies to me that you're then at a stage 3 of your awakening, which is when we're ready to rock the boat, right? That's when we start putting up boundaries with people, and we're just like, we're done. We're done with you. We're done with you. We're done with you. So just understand phase 3 is the active phase. This is really when we start getting a little bit more in control of our own life. Phase 4, then, after you move everything on your chessboard, so to speak, phase 4 is when you stand there isolated and alone. You're looking around because it feels lonely at the top, but you know it's right. And then that's when you start to work on the dark night of your soul. That's when you start to pull the skeletons out of your closet. That's when things get really tough. And then after you've learned all that, then you rise like a phoenix out of the ashes into a stage 5. Stage 5 is when you know who you are, you know your connection to God, you know your life purpose, and you do your life purpose 110%, and you treat everyone like they are your brother or your sister, no matter how bad they may hate you. Just because somebody's ignorant and judgmental doesn't give you a right to be mean to anyone else. That then comes back to you, okay? So that's basic karmic rule at that point after you go through an awakening. So hopefully that answers that. When we keep having people in our life that are pathological liars in our life, what kinds of lessons are we to learn from them? Tessa, that's a really good question. Your job is not to be the victim. Your job is to not allow it anymore. So that's really tough to do. But understand that in some weird way you chose this lesson for yourself. And like I said, you need to understand and trust your own self, that if you think somebody's lying to you, they probably are. It wouldn't be popping in your head, or you wouldn't get that gut check randomly out of nowhere. It doesn't work that way. So how about it being the middle child and being disconnected from all the family? You know what? Usually some of the most intuitive people that I have met are the black sheep of the family. I have never fit in. I will never fit in. And you know what? I'm all right with that. I'm unique. I'm supposed to be. And if people don't understand me, that's okay. Like I said, and that includes family member. I don't think that every family member likes me. They don't. And that's okay. So my job is to forgive them for their ignorance and move on. I don't have to prove myself to anybody. I don't have to discuss my beliefs with anybody. I don't have to do a damn thing if I don't want to. I can end that conversation pretty quickly and not feel bad about it. So hello to my black sheeps out there, because I'm one. Let me see. Somebody's like, black sheep here. I'm like, yeah. How do I feel about marijuana? I get why people do it. I really do. Especially when you first start to go through a spiritual awakening, you get overwhelmed real quick, especially with anxiety. And if that helps you to control your anxiety, hey, some people drink, some people smoke, some people do pills. I don't judge. Again, if it's going to help you to get you through where you need to be, that's fine. But if it becomes a severe habit, then there's a problem. So like I said, if you can't meditate without marijuana over a certain amount of time, then you're not ready. So like I said, the biggest thing is I don't really have, I guess, any problem with it at all. I really don't. So to each their own. So how can I tell if someone is scared of being with me or doesn't really have feelings? If it's a guy, I'll tell you, they won't chase you. If a guy is really into you, he will pursue you and let you know that he's interested. If he's not, he's going to play head games. And you know what? That's a plan B in his book. Don't be a plan B in anybody's book. Don't. So I refuse to settle. I won't. So that's why Eric had to chase me for a little while here before I finally kind of went on a date and listened to him. So, but like I said, I won't be a plan B in anybody's book. Not anymore. I've learned my lessons. So, could you feel the trauma of somebody that's passed? Yes, I can. And I do that as help or as validation of who I'm, maybe talking to. If I know that they died of a car accident, I can feel that. If they died of a heart issue, I can feel that. It's a brief feeling. When I first started, it was quite overwhelming, but now anymore, I can just listen to what they have to say and they just tell me. They don't need to put it on me. Sometimes in certain readings they need to, so I can, again, validate who I'm talking to. Sometimes I am overwhelmed as I am able to perceive outcomes before they happen. What's going on with me? Well, Dennis, you're psychic, just like me. Now, that is absolutely normal. And you have to remember, being enlightened, that's normal. Being unenlightened is not normal. So, like I said, we kind of have it backwards in our society a little bit. So that just means to tell me that, like I said, you're psychic or you have psychic abilities. Some people can do it actively awake like I can. Some people are really good about doing it when they're sleeping. Again, everybody has their own way of doing it. So how do I decipher somebody's synchronicities being shown to you? I guess I'll have to ask a little bit better question, but what I usually come across, or what a lot of people come across that they ask me about, is they'll see like a 1111 and then 333 and 777 all in one day, and they're like, whoa, like I'm seeing all these numbers in one day. What that means to tell me at that point is that you're very tapped in. That's when you need to ask. That's when you're like, okay, God, I need a little help. This is what I need. So that's the best time to ask, because you're tapped in, you're vibrating at a very high energy level. That's the time to ask Spirit for some help. So, but don't forget to ask. Ask and you shall receive. Don't forget to ask for what it is that you really, really want, because Spirit Guide's job is to guide you. Angel's job is to protect you. We have, Ascended Master. They're here to teach you. So we all have Team Spirit back behind us. We got loved ones. We have Team Spirit behind us at all times. So simply ask, and the more specific you ask, the better you're going to get an answer. The more broad they're going to give you an answer. So if you really want something, ask specific questions and you'll get better answers. Okay. Can you tell if alive people have health issues now? Yes, I can. I have a weird ability to be able to do that, but I have to see their face. So I don't know why, but in Enlightenment Academy, I've come up with a program called Enlightenment Academy. In the second class of Enlightenment Academy, I go over health indicators, and I show specifics when it comes to health indicators about, you know, what a stroke indicator looks like, what a heart attack indicator looks like, what all these different indicators look like. That's the second class. And if you guys really want to go in depth, I mean, if you're seeing those replicating numbers, then you're ready to take Enlightenment Academy. But if you're not seeing those replicating numbers yet, you're not quite ready, because it's a really in-depth program. But I make it really, really easy to understand and grasp, and you get a ton of information. Okay. Say illnesses are caused from different emotional stresses, not letting go of certain things. Kidney infection. Kidney infection is holding on to guilt, especially guilt when it comes to parents. Like, I'm not good enough, or I should be doing more. Holding on to that guilt blows out the kidneys. Anything to do with uterus or reproductive pain is definitely issues with your dad. So Josie, my guess is that you're probably dealing with emotional issues right now when it comes to your biological father. So remember, when you really are at a stage 4 and you're working on those deep, deep subconscious issues, sometimes those health indicators will flare out because your body is then getting in a place of allowance to heal. So sometimes those health indicators flare up, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it's actually your body healing. Let's see here. Would you, could you, or have you ever worked with law enforcement? Yes, I have. I usually don't talk about that a whole lot, just because I don't, when it comes to the families, I like to kind of keep things hush hush. But I'll tell you what, if a family member reach out to me and they're like, I can't find my loved one, of course I'm going to help them. So especially when it comes to kids, you know, I've got 2 teenagers too. If I can help a mom with a teenage kid, I'm going to. And a lot of stuff, what people don't realize is I do a lot of stuff for free. Yes, I have to get paid because I have a house and children that I got to feed. But at the same time, I do a lot of free things, really talk about that or brag about that. I just help people. That's what we all do, right? Okay. La 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 la. As you know, how do I know if I'm seeing an actual psychic and not a scammer? You'll know it by the way they feel. So there's a lot of egoic people out there. There's a lot of scammers out there. So the biggest thing is, you know, if you just sit down with them and they don't feel comfortable to you, don't just go. I've had people that have sat down with me and they didn't feel comfortable. I am more than happy to give somebody's money back and ask them to come back later, or I'll recommend somebody else for them. So that's just the right thing to do. But the biggest thing is, I'm gonna tell you, trust your gut. So if they don't feel right, they're not right. So, la 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 la. Since my granddaughter was killed, is her spirit stuck in that apartment? I doubt it. I doubt it. Usually if I come across ghosts or stuff like that, 9 times out of 10, it's a suicide. So, but even then 99% of us go home, 99%. It's a rare bird if we're going to be stuck behind. Usually they're a bunch of jerkwad assholes that are stuck behind. Not so much our loved ones. And I doubt that's the case. Okay. How do you know who my spirit guides are? And I need a huge sign. Also, don't know if my brother is around because it's not that obvious. Okay, so ask your spirit guides to give you 3 signs. You know, when I first started doing this, my guides would give me 1 sign, and I'm like, I think that was 1. So anyway, I asked my spirit guides to give me 3 signs in particular, because I want to make sure that I'm catching it right. So usually when I see it, I'm like, oh, there's 1. Oh, there's 2. I saw 3. I got it. I'm almost always going to say it out loud so my spirit guides know that I caught their message. But I told them a long time ago, I don't see signs really good, so give me 3. So ever since I've said that, they've totally given me 3 signs. let's see. So I'm going to have to turn this off. So, sorry. Alrighty. Okay. Any advice for my 90-year-old grandma having a hard time passing on to the next life? Usually at 90, they cross. So as soon as they're ready to go home, they go home. It's a rare bird if they're going to stick around, especially later on in life. They know that they're going home. So usually we don't have to worry too much about people. Like I said, it's really rare for people to die and hang around in that purgatory, hang around where there's no light per se. That's really rare. And if they don't, they're in fear of judgment for some reason or another. But again, if you just ask God to send them down the white light of the Holy Spirit and ask angels to guide them home, they'll go home really easy. So, but just like I said, simply ask. Let's see here. These are so. Let's see here. Can people be possessed by the devil? Yes, they can. It's a rare bird, but yes, it does happen. It's actually more common to even have a negative entity attachment. But understand that you're not going to get a negative entity attachment if you are enlightened and happy and positive. Most people who have negative entity attachments that I've come across are really depressed, really stuck in alcohol, not mentally stable, refusing to get help, angry, bitter people. So those most than likely have negative entity attachments. Possessions are rare, but they do happen. So yes. Does spirit send us warning signs of events to come? Yes and no. You know, I used to be able to precognitively dream about disasters that would happen here in the world. I've asked for that ability to be shut off personally. It's too much. I don't need to see a bunch of dead people floating out to sea. I like to wake up happy. So I've asked for that ability of mine to personally be shut off. So, yes, I can do that. Other people can too. But personally, I just don't do that anymore. Hopefully that helps that one. Okay. Imaginary friends for children. Is this a sign? You betcha. 9 times out of 10, it's either going to be a loved one or it's going to be their own personal spirit guide. If it's their spirit guide, they always have weird nicknames for them too, like Bobo, Gigi, Woo Woo, or something kind of weird. So you'll know if it's you'll know if it's a spirit guide if they kind of have a weird nickname for them. Sometimes they do talk to ghosts. That's a little bit more rare, but it does happen. So that is possible too. But 9 times out of 10, it's almost always a loved one or a spirit guide, especially if it doesn't bother them or scare them at all. Okay. So how can let's see here. Can a spiritual awakening cause something as drastic as an apartment on fire? We are seeing and having a lot of spiritual activity right before. Absolutely, it's possible. If they want to fair warn you, they will absolutely try to let you know or give you a fair warning before something's about to happen. So yeah, absolutely they can. I love that. Somebody's like, talk about aliens. So yes, aliens do exist. There's different types, different kinds of aliens, lots of different kinds. So, I mean, yes, there's reptilians. Yes, there's grays. Yes, there's all different kinds. And you'd have to be really naive to think that they don't exist, considering that there are lots of galaxies and lots of other planets and lots of other life forms out there. So yes, they do exist. I personally believe that. Again, if it doesn't vibe with you, it's okay. It's simply not your truth. Okay. My little dog behind me, yeah, she's 13 too. So she's getting up there in age. So she won't hold still. So dad left for a little while. So she's all like, where'd he go? Okay. I think my boys are intuitive. How to encourage the growth of that? Here's what's really cool about that is little kids, You don't have to encourage their spiritual growth. They're already tuned in and tapped in. It's their job to teach you spirituality. It's your job to teach them reality. Your job is to push them when they have anxiety in this world. Your job is to reassure them that they're going to be okay. But your job is to teach them reality and have them understand that not everybody is going to be their friend and there are mean people in this world. Their job is to help you with your spirituality and remaining childlike in certain terms and certain ways. So hopefully that one helps that one. Is there something you can do for a nightmare that keeps coming back? What I would tell you is ask spirit to help guide you out of that when you're in a dream state. Basically pray before you go to bed. Pray that doesn't happen before you go to bed. 9 times out of 10, it usually doesn't. So like I said, sometimes when things are out of our control like that, if you simply state, this is not where I want to go, or this isn't what I want to do, you'll be fine. I had a problem with paralyzing dreams. And what was happening is I was out of my body a little bit too long and my body started to wake up and my soul wasn't in my body. And so I've asked my guides to show me a clock or a watch to prevent that from happening again. So if I see a clock or a watch in my dream, I'm out, like I will leave. But I'm also a very lucid dreamer, which means that I can control myself in my dream. Many of you can do that too, especially if you're going through an awakening. You can control yourself in dreams. So let's see. Can you tell me if it's too dangerous to be at a certain job? And if I'm going to be stuck at this place much longer? I would tell you that if you don't like your job, start applying elsewhere. It is just a job. I tell people all the time, don't let your loyalty to a job screw your happiness. Life is too damn short for that. Find a different job. Apply elsewhere. If it's meant to be, you'll get the job, okay? So, but don't ever stay at a job that diminishes your spirit. Oh, so not worth it. So, let's see here. These are going so fast. I keep smelling things around me that aren't actually there. It could be a lot, Erica. It could be a loved one. So if it reminds you of a loved one right away, then that's going to be a sign from a loved one. Sometimes it is spirit just passing through. I know that in my house, it's pretty well protected. I don't have spirit walking through here. Every once in a while, I'll get one walking through. So, and I can usually feel it and smell it first. Then I hear it. Then I see it last. So that's the order that it usually goes in with me. I don't dream. Why is that? Carly, that's okay. We go through spurts where we don't dream at all. So don't feel bad that you just don't remember your dreams. You probably are dreaming, but in real life, your body is just shutting down because it's either highly stressed out or your body just needs to rest. And if that's the case, you're not necessarily going to dream. Let's see here. So, do you ever become sick to your stomach when communicating with spirit? Like, no matter how friendly, it scares the hell out of you? No, I don't, because when I'm talking with like a person in front of me, I'm usually talking to their spirit guides or their loved ones. It's a rare bird if I come across something that's very negative. And if I do, I am immediately going to put up a boundary. I'm going to bubble myself and I'm going to ask for angels to come by immediately to take care of that. I am not going to sit and chat with something that's negative or not for my highest good. I have no reason to open myself up to bullshit like that. I won't. So there's people that are really good at that, like demonologists and things like that. Not it. So I'd rather talk to happy dead people, not angry, bitter ones. That's why when I do the ghost tours that I have every year, they're really hard for me. They're very tiring. That's why people are like, aren't you going to do more ghost tours? And I'm like, it's exhausting who have. So at least it is for me personally. Is there a common infertility problem that I come across? Good question, Vicki. Actually, yes, there is. 9 times out of 10. If a girl has infertility issues, it's because they have a weird, and I say weird, abandonment issue with their biological father. It's like their dad was there, but he was a workaholic, or dad was there, but he wasn't a very huggy, kissy type of person. And what happens is that sometimes we marry a partner who's identical or just like that. So those can get reversed, but again, it's a lot more in depth than that, but 9 times out of 10, it is an issue with the biological dad. And we have to go in and talk about some more core issues when it comes to that, because again, everybody's dad is different. Everybody was raised different, but generally speaking, it is a dad abandonment issue on some level. So different levels to that. Okay, let's see here. How can I help my son with his vivid, violent dreams that he has? Good question, Peggy. Okay, so 3 things that we can do to help children get rid of nightmares. And what's happening, by the way, is their soul is leaving the body. They're going into dimensions where they don't need to be going to, or they're remembering how they died in previous lives, A or B. So number 1, no beds in corners. Make sure that kids' heads don't go in corners. Corners hold residual energy. We sage, especially corners. So we don't want to put our kid's head in a corner. Number 2, do exactly that. Sage the house, especially the child's room. And number 3, get them a dream catcher. Now the child is the one to pick out the dream catcher, and the child will tell you exactly where to hang it at. So you can't do it for them. They have to pick it out, and they'll tell you where to go. So that's the biggest thing I could tell you, is just let them pick out the dream catcher. Sage. If we still have trouble, sometimes black tourmaline in between the box springs and the mattress to kind of help ground them down a little bit is a really good alternative. So the other thing is that if you have intuitive kids or kids that are really connected, make sure that they don't have any colored rocks when they go to school. Black or red rocks only are acceptable for them to go to school, or when you go in places like shopping, like at the grocery store and stuff like that. A lot of times they want to take a rock with them, or they want to have a hoodie up or something in their ears to help with noise and to help that oversensitivity issue. So if they do that, understand that they're doing that to protect their energy. And if they don't do that, then they literally melt. And if they have a meltdown, you're done. They're overstimulated at that point. If they're overstimulated, they're going to throw a shit fit, or they're just going to cry, and they're done. They're going to melt. So hopefully that helps with the kiddos. Me and my husband and my son are all 9 life paths. Is it common to have that many in the same life path in the same family? Actually, it is. It's more common than you think. Or numerologically speaking, they're all like odd numbers or all even numbers. So yes, actually it is kind of common. So, and almost always you guys will be very similar energied, and 9s are always the humanitarians, right? So you guys are here to help people in some way, shape, or form. How do you know if your partner is the one? You don't question it. You just know. You absolutely know. Don't get me wrong. Eric and I have our disagreements, but you know, there's absolutely no question about it. You know, and both parties are in, and they're in 110%. So they don't do this, well, I'm in and I'm out, I'm in and I'm out. They don't do that crap. They're in, and they're in 110%. So that's how you know if they're the one. You don't question it. So let's see here. How do you know who you were in a past life? We discussed that earlier. Like I said, hypnotherapy session, that's the best way to go. Otherwise, ask that question before you fall asleep at night. It might show up in a dream state for you, or ask your spirit guides to help guide you with that one too. So hope that helps. Okay. So when you connect with spirit, do you see or hear or have thoughts? It's all of them, but it's all senses for me. It's not that rare. Like I said, I don't consider myself that rare. I think everybody has my ability. It's my job to teach you how to use your ability, or how to figure it out, use it to your advantage, and then eventually to help people with it. That's my job. So that's what I'm not that different than other people. I'm not. Everybody's got my ability. I just had more practice at it at this point. That's all. Could it be a spirit guide giving you information on somebody missing? Yes, it's possible, or the person themselves. Empaths are more susceptible to depression. How do you deal with it naturally? Ooh, good question. Number one, move. So staying in bed or staying still is a killer. You can't do that. Number two, sunshine, lots of sunshine. Number three, lemon water. Number four, get a list of goals. People that are depressed don't always know what they want. They're dwelling in the past and they don't look at it in terms of what it taught them and how to forgive not only the other person, but how to forgive yourself. And forgiving yourself is the hardest part. So that's a lot of times where that depression lies. But again, everybody goes into depression for different reasons. At a stage 2 of your awakening, it is very common for anxiety and the depression to kick your ass. It is really, really common. I had anxiety so bad, I'd have panic attacks in my car and pass out. So I'm like, it's just more common than what you'd like to think. The problem is, at least people are starting to talk about it now, but a lot of people don't like to talk about it. I'm like, well, that's stupid, especially guys. Talk about it. Why not? It's not a macho thing. Okay, sorry, I had to get a drink. Is it true that meditation can help open your third eye? Absolutely. And I will tell you, and you'll hear me talk about it a lot, but meditation will get you so much farther in every other aspect than anything else ever will. Meditation is baseline foundation for Psychic Abilities 101. And I will tell you, it is not freaking easy. Everybody thinks that they're just going to sit down and clear their mind and not think of anything. And I will tell you, that is the biggest crock of bullshit. Your job is to sit there for 10 minutes and chill, because your brain is not going to shut off. It just doesn't. So you have to train your brain to get it to shut off. So it takes a long time. It took me 2 years to get there. Okay, guys, but I have ADHD, so it took me a little bit longer, and I'm stubborn. So I always tell people, start with 5 minutes and literally put your cell phone on a timer, turn it upside down, sit there, have a cup of coffee, watch the birds outside. There you go. You're starting to meditate. Your job is just to simply sit in silence for a few minutes and just chill. So that is the best way to meditate. Some people like to walk with no earphones. That's meditating. Some people like to sit in their car at lunchtime and meditate. Some people like to listen to music and meditate. I wrote something called 10 to Zen, and inside 10 to Zen, there's 2 CDs. So they're all 10-minute meditations. So like I said, there's plenty of different ways that you can learn how to meditate, but meditation is baseline foundation for any intuitive abilities and really getting to know who you are. It's that important. You're going to hear it a lot. It really is that important. So I've been having a lot more tingling on the top of my head. Sharon, that's actually a good thing for that. That tells me that your crown chakra is opening. So if it feels like you have like lice in your hair, or like your head like really tingles or itches, sometimes even your nose or your eyes will really itch like that tingly, itchy, that means to tell me that your crown chakra is opening. That's your connection to God source energy. That's a good thing. So the hardest thing though is when you're around a bunch of people and it starts happening. That's where sometimes panic comes in or anxiety comes in. So, but understand that that's kind of normal. Let's see here. How long does spiritual awakening happen? Years. It took, I've been going through my awakening for 14 years. So it's been a while. I've been doing this for a while. And the point of going through awakening is it's a lot like an onion. You have to peel off all these different layers to figure out the core of who you really are, which is a piece of God's light. And that this world is simply a dream. So when you die, you go back to reality. This is the dream. So this is actually more of a nightmare. So, okay. Do signs become less and less the longer a loved one is gone? So yes, actually it is pretty common. So for instance, my dad's been gone for 20 years. I don't see signs from him every single day. I don't. So anymore, if I need a sign from him, I'm going to ask, hey, Pops, I need a sign. I'm not having a good day. I'll get one. I usually get one anymore within 12 hours. So if not sooner. But remember, I can't talk to my family like I can yours. I don't have that luxury. I can't read my kids. I can't read Eric. I can barely read my best friend. So I can't read my mom, my brother, things like that. I don't have that luxury. I have to screw up just like everybody else. So understand that that's something that I don't get either. So I don't get to talk to my spirit guides like I do yours. I have to rely on signs and signals just like everybody else. So, okay. Is it common when I got certified in Reiki to be able to feel other people in pain? Yes. It's very common, especially if you're an empath. With Tessa, I know that you're an empath. So you're going to be able to remember how I said that when I first started, I could feel the pain of others? Just understand or tell your spirit guides, listen, I want to feel it temporarily, then get it off me. So remember, you control the energy around you. You control your reaction or the people around you by your reaction. So it's simply a matter of what you're willing to allow and what you're not willing to allow. So, okay. These are all such good questions. Let's see here. Sage for the first time ever a few weeks later, found out that we had bats in the attic, basically had to rebuild our home exterior. Hubby says no more sage. No, sage did so not cause that. But at the same time, you know what? It probably just happened to happen at the same time. That's so funny because the first thing I thought of, I'm like, of course, you sage probably around Halloween and you have bats in your attic, right? So no, sage did not cause that. At least I doubt that. But at the same time, I'm like, saging is really good. And we always want to sage on a new moon. And we want to put our crystals out on the full moon. So new moon is when we want to sage, double check our goals, new beginnings, good stuff like that. Full moon, right in the height of drama, right in the middle of lesson learning. And that's when we want to put our crystals and stones out to charge. So I have a cake pan. I put all my crystals on the cake pan and I put it outside. The only exception to the rule is if it rains. If it's raining, then I'm going to put it by my window. So because things like selenite will melt because it's salt-based, like halite, selenite, that's all salt-based stuff. So you don't want to do that outside, especially if it's going to be raining because it'll melt. Okay. Oh, these are great questions, guys. Holy moly. Let me see. I'm just going back on some of these other questions. If you guys have questions, keep asking. It's all good. But like I said, I can't do the personal readings because I'm not tapped into your energy, and I don't want to give you a false reading if I can't like connect with you personally. That's why I don't like to do them over FaceTime because I'm a lot less accurate, and I don't want to say something that I might misspeak on. So, If sage sticks are too much, does incense work the same? Absolutely. And if you don't like incense, do palo. So I know at Awakenings, and by the way, I co-own Awakenings with Eric. We just got in some awesome sage that is now infused with things like dragon's blood and frankincense and myrrh, and we have all different kinds. So if sage isn't your thing, there's plenty of different options. So, because I know sometimes that stuff I like the smell of thick-bladed sage. Some people don't. Some people are allergic. Everyone's different. So incense, certain oils like frankincense and myrrh and rose and I believe pine are very high vibrational oils. So if you diffuse those while you meditate, woo, it's going to tap you in. So that's always a really good idea too. Yeah, the glass balls, the witch balls. Oh my gosh, they're so fun. They're so pretty too. So we have witch balls there too, which are just really cool. What's my favorite tarot or oracle deck? Good question. Personally, I like the ones that are from, James Van Prague has some good ones. Doreen Virtue. The angel cards are the easiest ones to read when you first start out because the meanings are right on the card. So I personally like those to first start out with. Those seem to be the easiest ones to get to learn. But each tarot deck or oracle deck or angel card deck has a guidebook on the inside of it. So they'll be able to tell you what each card means and how to lay those out. I teach different workshops too. Of course, I just got in teaching a tarot card workshop. So, but there's a lot of different people that will teach it, and there's a lot of different guidebooks too. So just find your thing. If you get a tarot card and you don't like it, like it's not your thing, then gift it to somebody else, because the person that you gift it to is probably the right person that needs it. But I know if you go into Awakenings on 147th and Maple, if you go into Awakenings, we have sample decks out, and we encourage people, pull them out, play with them, see if you like them. If you don't like them, put them back, take out another sample deck. So I'm a feeler, I'm a visual person. So I know that, at Awakenings, we do a lot of information. We're here to educate you. We want to help you understand. So we have awesome staff to be able to help you with stuff like that. So, okay, what about tarot and Christianity? Personally, they usually don't like what I do. So I'm like, and that's okay. So, usually they shun me for anything that I do for a job. So, and some people are more open to it. Every Christian is different. So that's a pretty broad thing. And I can't, because everybody within that is going to be different. Some people will accept it. Some people won't. That's okay. Let's see here. I'm really hesitant to say anything for fear that I'm wrong. How could I get over that? I'll tell you what, I tell people all the time, I'm never 100%. I won't be. So I make mistakes. Everybody does. So I know that when you first start out and you feel like you need to relay a message because maybe somebody's coming through or a loved one's coming through and you really want to talk to them about it, I found the easiest way to tell them is just tell them that you had a dream. Hey, I had a dream with your dad in it, and here's what he said. People are a little bit more accepting or open to hearing a message that way than presenting yourself, hey, I'm a medium, and your dad show up, and here's what he had to say. That usually, the minute they hear your medium, if depending on their beliefs, they'll just shut you out, and they won't hear what you have to say. But a lot of times, if you just say, hey, your loved one came to me in a dream, this is what they had to say, they're a little bit more apt to hear you. Is deja vu real? Absolutely. That comes from precognitive dreaming. So yes, it absolutely is. Okay, I'm going to do one more question. So, oh, good question. Amy asked, how is the energy going to be for the next few days? Okay. So the energy has been so relatively unpredictable, Lord knows. I can just tell you that there has been a major split or shift between people who are enlightened and awoken and people who are not. And it seems to me that's going to be kind of the continuing trend here, which is fine. I don't put my beliefs, or I don't talk about my job to unenlightened people. They don't get it. And I'm not going to waste my time. So understand that the energy over the next few days is supposed to be pretty good, but here's the deal. Mercury is going into retrograde November 16th. Venus is coming out of retrograde November 15th. So it's like we're getting out of Venus retrograde, which is we've all had relationship issues, right? So these relationship issues have kind of come to the surface so you guys could fix them. That's the point of a Venus retrograde. So that's going direct November 15th. November 16th, Mercury goes retrograde. Everybody knows when Mercury goes retrograde, you don't sign contracts. You don't start new projects. You don't do anything new. You don't sign contracts. You don't buy a new car. You don't give yourself that new haircut. So just remember, when Mercury goes retrograde, and miscommunication. Holy crap, does miscommunication happen? When Mercury goes retrograde, general rule of thumb, I will tell you, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say it at all, because it will get misconstrued 8 ways from Sunday. Even a simple text message will get misconstrued. So between now and the 15th, things are actually looking pretty good. But when Mercury goes retrograde, here comes that miscommunication. right in time for Thanksgiving, right? So biggest thing is, like I said, buckle up for that. I don't think this one is going to be nearly as spicy as the other one was. I don't think it's going to be nearly as bad. I think this one's going to be a lot more miscommunicated. So, okay. So I want to thank you guys so much for joining me on this Q&A. Remember, I will be doing these monthly, and I will be posting them to YouTube as well. So if you maybe missed this or you want to rewatch it, it's going to be totally available for you to do that. If you haven't subscribed to me on YouTube, please do that. And then also follow me on Facebook. I do post daily readings on Facebook. I know that you may want to go back and make sure that you're getting my notifications, because they only allow so many people to have me come across their news feed organically. So if you haven't done that, and then lastly, I would encourage you guys to check out Enlightenment Academy. It's enlightenment-academy.com. Again, it's a program that I wrote for the next generation of psychic mediums, and how to not only figure out their own abilities, but how to help other people out with it as well, including how to tap in and tap out with your spirit guides and the clairs and all that other stuff. So again, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. God bless and take care. Have a wonderful week, guys. Bye. Thank you. Thank you.